Welcome to my channel. Let's make an easy pocket. So last year I participated in ABC April, which was a collaboration between Seven Plaza and Crafty by Tony, where every day there's a new letter and you use that letter as inspiration for some craft project that you're doing. And last year I made a bunch of tags. I actually only managed to get from D through N, but I still want to participate this year and see how far I go. However, I wanted to do something a little different than tags, and I thought, what better way to showcase my tags than to have a pocket to put the tags inside of. So my plan this year is to make a bunch of library pockets based on these letter themes. And a library pocket is basically the things that you, the kind of shape that you see in the pockets where you used to check out library books, and you would keep a library card in the pocket that had the physically written down information about who checked out what and when. And so the way that I make these pockets is actually to make them out of two pieces. So let me show you how this is done, and feel free to make along if you'd like. So just to give you a couple more examples of how these pockets could be made, they could be all sorts of different sizes, could be different widths, could be different heights. The pocket size could vary. Here's one made out of scrapbooking paper, somewhat thin cardstock. Here we got one made out of book page. And today we're going to also make one out of vellum. So let's make one out of the book page first. So I don't actually measure my pieces. I tend to use a back piece to figure out what size of library pocket I want to have, or I cut the back to size based on the size of pocket that I want. And then I find or cut another piece that could be used as a pocket that is a little wider than the back so that it can wrap around. So the way that I do this is I take my scoreboard, I lay down the pocket part, I put the back on top, and I use that as a guide to figure out where I want to score in order to make those fold overs. So of course in this case, I cut the text so that the margin was removed from here. So that makes it a lot easier to figure out where you want to fold. And in fact, if you don't have a scoreboard, you could, if they're thin enough, it would be fairly easy to just fold them, wrap them around. So since this is going to be the back, and I generally don't use the backs of my library cards, at least the ones that I'm planning to make today, it doesn't have to be very exact. It just needs to be somewhat close to the edge of this paper so that when I fold over, there's going to be just a little room to account for the fold over portion. So do the same thing on this side. Doesn't really have to be that perfect because the back is going to be wrapped around. You won't see it. And in addition, you probably want to have a little bit of give for the items to be coming in and out. So you might want to give a little bit of space in the margins for that purpose. So the other two lines that I want to make, first I want to put one at the top so that I could actually fold over the top so that I've got a little sturdier lip for the top of my pocket. And then for the bottom, I want to be able to fold it up a little bit. So here I could use this to kind of gauge where I want to do that. How deep do I want the pocket to be after I fold this over? So you could use that to figure out how far up you want to go on the bottom. So like I said, this project is really forgiving. You could really keep adjusting things based on what you're seeing and what you want to do. So after we do that crease, we make these folds just to make it easier to see where we're at. And then the bottom here. After these folds are made, we have a little bit of excess paper here that we could cut off. Because this is really thin, it doesn't really matter too much if we do, but especially with thicker papers, you might want to cut off that excess so that it's a little easier to fold and not have a weird bulge at the bottom. Similarly, up here, you can cut off that piece that you don't really need. That's going to just be a double fold. And you don't have to be super exact with these because the real point is to remove some of the excess paper here. And you mainly just want to avoid cutting too deeply in here and going past the place where the two corners meet. All right, so now I'm going to glue down the lip just to make it a little sturdier up there. Hopefully my glue will cooperate. I'm using Bearly Art glue here. So we're going to glue up the top. Make sure that the back will fit snugly in here. Be able to fold it over without having a lot of without it being too tight and creasing itself. And then we could just glue these down and wrap it around the back. So I know this flap here is a different size than the other side, but it really doesn't matter because this will be the back of my pocket and I don't intend to use this pocket back. So I like, if I am going to have an order for folding over, I tend to fold the bottom first so that it's a little less likely that things might fall out the bottom. I wanted that to be a little more sturdy than the top. Now, if you do care about the way that this back looks, you could potentially put another piece on it or, you know, make it a floating pocket style by actually having it on a floating page or some other backing there. So that's one option. When we look at the front here, we've got this nice pocket and we have the text on the top and the bottom looking in the same direction. So by using this method, it really reduces the two anxieties that I have when I'm making these library pockets. One is when I'm trying to trim up this top and then having it straight while having the pocket fold over correctly. And so it's not too wide down here and also looking straight up here. That was something that I kind of struggled with. And another thing that, you know, I do sometimes fret over is having the top and the bottom text or the image facing in the right direction. So here it just makes it a lot easier to be able to make the top and the bottom work by having them different pieces. And you get a lot more flexibility in being able to change up the materials. The top and the bottom don't have to be the same. And that's what we're going to do next. We're going to make ourselves a little vellum pocket. And so I've chosen these two pieces. I was thinking I was going to have a little shallower of a pocket here. And I thought this vellum would be really nice, just giving a soft softening to this image in the back here on this scrapbooking paper that I'm using. So same as before, I'm going to have this top piece as a guide. I'm going to push over my vellum. I'm going to make sure that there's a little space on either side. And then I'm going to make some lines so that they're fairly close to the edge of the paper, but still giving a little bit of give, so as to account for the wrapping over. And again, here I go, turning it around to try to figure out, how deep do I want it to be. My thought was I just really wanted to cover the colored portions here, but so it could be, let's say, around there. So here, again, I find a line that's fairly close to where I am, score it across. Oops. And this is a little tough to see, but hopefully fairly straightforward. We're trying to cut out a little bit of this excess here, but again, it wouldn't be a huge deal if you didn't, because this paper is so thin. There's not a lot of bulk to worry about. The main concern here with vellum on these corners, as well as just using the vellum at all, is that because the glue has water content, it tends to pucker and warp the vellum paper. So I'm using Bearly Arts glue, which tends to have less water content, and so there's less of that. But still, that's why not be safe than sorry and cover up the portion that would be glued over, so that we don't even have to see it if it does end up warping a little bit. So I love the concept of vellum, but I find that sometimes it's difficult to get around to using it. All right, let's line it up to be more or less in the center there. Fold over the bottom, fold over the sides. Give it a little bit of a crease to help it stay in place. And there we have a vellum pocket, with possibly a little glue seeped over into that edge there. Oh well. So we've got this pocket here, and you're able to see the image in the back, and also hold different elements that you'll be able to see some of through the pocket itself. So my plan is to make a bunch of these as I'm going on the theme of the letter. So when the letter comes up, I'll make a new pocket based on the theme. And I may or may not have a tag that fits, that letter. Or I might make another tag to go into the pocket. It depends. We'll see how much I get done this month. Thanks for watching.